Episode 1: Noah and the Flood. This is the first episode of a series of videos that we will be making to explain a few important topics from our book, Plato and the Qur'an. This episode will be about Noah's flood and his long age of 950 years. Noah is one of the 25 prophets mentioned in the Qur'an. As in Judaism and Christianity, he is held to be a descendant of the first man Adam and a beacon of righteousness in a world of corruption, revered both for warning people of the need to repent and for proclaiming the forgiveness and mercy of God. The Qur'an recounts how the people would mock and scoff at Noah while he fulfilled God's command of building the ark. God then instructed Noah, who lived amongst his people for 950 years, to carry on board every kind of animal, his family, and a few believers, to save them from the coming flood. While the story of Noah and the flood belongs to the shared literary tradition of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, other flood stories also circulated amongst the Greeks, who believed the world had suffered from several floods of catastrophic proportions. The earliest of these occurred in the time of Ogyges, the mythical king of ancient Athens, approximately 10,000 years before the time of Plato, who lived in the 4th century BCE, and perhaps the same flood that caused Atlantis to sink beneath the waves in Plato's tale, as told in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias. The most famous and often repeated Greek flood story was the flood of Deucalion, the son of Prometheus, one of the gods of Greek myth. According to this tale, the flood occurred sometime around 1528 BCE, when Zeus, the sky and thunder god, decided to send a flood to destroy the men of the Bronze Age. Prometheus secretly advised Deucalion to build an ark and stock it with provisions. Then rain poured from the heavens and covered the land. Most Greeks perished in the deluge. The Mesopotamians also had various flood stories containing features closely resembling the biblical and Quranic accounts of Noah and the flood. The best preserved and longest cuneiform flood story can be found on tablet 11 of the Epic of Gilgamesh, dated around 1700 BCE and written in Akkadian, the language of ancient Babylonia and Ishuria. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the gods had determined to destroy the world in a great flood. When the council of the gods decided to send a deluge upon the earth, Ea, the god of wisdom, instructed the hero of the flood, Utnapishtim, in a dream to quickly tear down his reed hut and build an ark to save himself and all living creatures. Then the designated time arrived, and the dreadful storm commenced with pouring rain. The story of Utnapishtim bears a striking resemblance to the flood of Deucalion and to the Quranic and biblical story of Noah and the flood. We have the warning to Utnapishtim, Deucalion and Noah to build an ark and put aboard it the seed of every living thing. The terrible deluge that covered the entire world with water, and the ark landing upon a mountaintop. Having presented the story of the flood as told in the Qur'an, the Bible, ancient Greek sources, and the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, we will now propose our new interpretation. This interpretation does not necessarily overwrite previous ones, but can instead serve to develop existing theories and opinions. When we apply critical analysis methods to the story and start to ask questions, we soon realize that neither one nor hundreds of days of rain would raise the ocean by an inch. We now know that all rain is first evaporated off the ocean and then runs back into it at a constant level in the cycle of precipitation. When we ask how millions of species of every living thing could be collected, cared for, and housed in the ark by a single man and his family, we realize that this could not have physically been possible. How could they have kept them in safe living conditions where they were fed and tended to on board for months? After questioning such details of the story, we arrive at a conclusion which some may not want to hear. The story of the flood most likely does refer to some event in the past, however, not in the same way described in the Qur'an and the Bible, which we believe cannot be regarded as a historical fact, but as an allegory. We believe that what has been presented in the Qur'an is of great moral and religious importance at one level, but has a deeper hidden message on another level. That deeper message we propose is as follows. The story of the flood and the 950 years lived by its hero Noah conceal a code which corresponds to astronomical cycles. It is this that we need to study and analyze towards finding a way to make use of the knowledge hidden in this myth for thousands of years. According to many Quranic commentators and interpreters, Noah lived for 950 years among his people, according to the following verse from the Qur'an. And we certainly sent Noah to his people, and he remained among them 1,000 years, Sanah, minus 50 years, and the flood seized them while they were wrongdoers. We call into question such interpretations, since the Qur'an was very precise in giving us a formula of 1,000 of years which is called Sanah, minus 50 years which is called and never mentioned 950 years. In this episode, we are going to give our interpretation of the meaning of the 950 years which was mentioned in the Bible, and in the next episodes we will explain the Quranic meaning of his age. Let us first look at the ages of the Bible patriarchs. For some, this is evidence of the miracles of God, while for others it is proof of their impossibility. The latter group might consider these numbers to be meaningless and lacking any significance. But there is a third way of looking at them, which considers that they may indeed have a deeper meaning. Viewing a table containing the age of the patriarchs, we should note that Methuselah is documented to have lived to the impressive age of 969 years, Adam, the first man, 930 years, and our flood hero Noah, 950 years. The detailed records gives the patriarchs' dates of birth and death over a period of hundreds of years in very precise figures, so precise that it is as if they were chosen intentionally to communicate a code in a symbolic manner. It is surely no coincidence that the lifespan of Enoch, who lived for 365 years and then ascends into heaven, is the same number as the days in the solar year. It follows that the numbers given to the other patriarchs must also signify astronomical periods of time. But before we start to analyze these numbers in detail, we need to understand the meaning for the Synodic astronomical cycles or periods. The Synodic period, which literally means between meetings, is the time required for a body within the solar system, such as a planet or the moon, to return to the same or approximately the same position relative to the sun as seen by an observer on the Earth. A full explanation of these cycles is explained in detail in chapter 16 of our book. Next, let us move to the following table which shows the synodic cycles of the planets. With some simple sums, we can see that the ages of the patriarchs are no more than combinations of synodic cycles, with an interchange between days and years. For example, Lamech died at the age of 777 years, which is the equivalent of the addition of Jupiter's cycle of 399 days plus Saturn's cycle of 378 days. 399 plus 378 equals 777. Mahalalel died at the age of 895 years, which is the equivalent of the addition of Mercury's cycle of 116 days plus Mars' cycle of 779 days. 116 plus 779 equals 895. Jared died at the age of 962 years, which is the equivalent of the addition of Venus' cycle of 584 days plus Saturn's cycle of 378 days. 584 plus 378 equals 962. Enoch died at the age of 365 years, which is the equivalent of the solar year of 365 days. What about the age of Noah, who the Bible holds to have lived for 950 years? Does this number also represent an astronomical cycle, as with the long ages of the other patriarchs? Of course, the answer is yes. 950 is no more than the addition of Venus of 584 days plus a leap year of 366 days. 584 plus 366 equals 950. Now let us add the age of the following patriarchs when they had their firstborn sons. Seth, 105, plus Canaan, 70, plus Jared, 162, plus Enoch, 65, plus Lamech, 182, equals 584 years. And 584 is the Synodic cycle of Venus in days. We have shown more regarding the meaning of the ages of the patriarchs in chapter 22 of our book, and we have also explained in detail in our chapter 21 the interchange of days into years and the years into days. As we have shown here in just a few calculations, we can come to the conclusion that the age of the patriarchs, including Noah, is no more than a representation of astronomical cycles hidden in these allegories. For more information about Noah's story and other subjects covered in our book, please visit our website on platoandthequran.com. To buy our book, please visit amazon.co.uk or amazon.com.